Public transport is a topic that impacts us all, and having a functional, efficient, green local transport system is crucial for any modernised city. Hamburger Hochbahn is one of the leading local transport companies in Germany, carrying 1.2 million passengers per day on rail, road and sea. We're joined now by its Chief of Finance and Sustainability, Merle Schmidt-Brun. So is this your first time at COP? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, it's my first time. I'm very excited to be able to present the Hamburger Hochbahn here at COP28. And on Wednesday there's going to be the Day for Mobility, Public Transportation.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be taking part in a panel discussion jointly with other members of the UITP from all around the world. So this is going to be, I think, my highlight here.
And you were mentioning there's going to be a further follow-up conference in Hamburg potentially next year?
Yes, you're right. So the UITP is the global organization for public transportation worldwide, and we're going to host the World in Hamburg in 2025 and in 2027. And we'll be able to present our change of mobility and our beautiful city.
That sounds very exciting. Should we head into the studio and we can chat a bit more?
I would love to.
Welcome, Merle. What is the main aim of Hochbahn and how does the company's mission fit into that?
So at Hamburger Hochbahn, we aim to be pioneers in future mobility. That means we look with foresight, we act with foresight for future generations. And we have the aim also to generate a blueprint that can be applied by other mobility companies. We have two main goals, which are to be carbon neutral as a company ourselves by 2030, and to also shift the mobility within Hamburg towards more public transportation. And this is completely in line with the strategy of the city of Hamburg. Minus 70% CO2 emission by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2045. And that means for the public transportation sector that we need to reduce 900,000 tons of CO2 by 2030, which is quite an aim. And that's only possible for us in Hamburger Hochbahn to be firstly carbon neutral ourselves and to have an extreme shift in mobility within the city.
I think there's a wide consensus that public transport is essential for any green city, but why specifically is an integrated public transport system so important in Hamburg?
So the need for action has never been more urgent. In public transportation sector, by 2030 or within this decade, we need to double worldwide the number of journeys taken with public transportation. Our strategy at Hamburger Hochbahn is called Hamburg-Takt, where we have a very specific strategy, which means within 5 minutes we want to offer public transport to every Hamburg citizen. And all of this without a time schedule. We think that is key to support the mobility transformation. We need to offer very flexible public transport. And this we do by two things. We heavily increase our conventional public transport offer, so the trains and the buses, but we add new mobility solutions, especially on-demand mobility solutions, and there we are also already focusing on autonomous driving. So that means we want to offer sustainable mobility for all, efficient, socially fair and green, always focusing on the needs of our customers.
Okay, so on the roads as well. So there's not only just a need for what you're currently providing, you're expanding more and more. So is there any examples that other cities could take from the work you're doing in Hamburg?
Yeah, there are several examples that they can take. So we have three main things that we are focusing on. One thing is the CO2 neutralization of our buses. We're going heavily into or completely into electrification of our buses, and we do all of that with including into our tender sustainability demands. So this is new. We don't know anything like that, at least in Germany. Nobody's doing that. Second part is investing heavily in our metro lines. We're building a complete new metro line, the U5, which is going to reduce, by the time it's done, 290,000 kilometers of car kilometers every day. Additionally, we are using smart integrated solutions also for our existing metro infrastructure, and we are going to automize a lot of our metro lines, and with that we're going to be able to firstly have them more efficient, which is going to reduce, of course, emissions, and secondly also to increase by 50% our reach. A third point that we are focusing on in Hamburg is the integration of other mobility services. So we believe that conventional public transport is not the only solution for getting a mobility shift in place. It is important to be able to offer a product to everybody that fits actually every day of life. So if you want to do your grocery shopping on the weekend, or if you have a family event, classical public transportation doesn't really do the trick. That's why we are focusing so much also on integrated mobility with, for example, on-demand services. And here we have an industry cooperation with Holon and with Moja. The big companies behind us are Benteler and Volkswagen, to get autonomous shuttle driving, and not individual cars, but big shuttles into place in Hamburg. And to be able to finance all of that, of course, we get a lot of support by the city of Hamburg and by the state of Germany, but we also have started green financing. So since 2021, we're financing all of that with green bonds.
Some estimates say that by the end of the decade, nearly a third of all vehicles on the road will be electric. What relevance does that have to public transport and your work? Do we need as much investment in Hochbahn and these services?
Yeah, it is a good shift to go from current cars to electric cars, but we don't believe that that is going to do the trick. We think the heavy investment into public transportation is important, because as long as we still have the streets full with cars everywhere, and we're not going the extra mile to reduce cars, to do something for also the quality of life within the cities, we will never be able to actually get the climate change reduced.
These are huge urban infrastructure projects that are being undertaken in your city. I'm curious, are there any blueprints for how this is done sustainably?
Yes, so especially the U5 construction, we can use as a blueprint for many other cities, because what we are doing there is we invest heavily jointly with the industry into carbon neutral or more carbon friendly building. So in order to make Hamburg more climate friendly, for our construction of the U5, we do not start at the building process, but heavily at the planning part already. At the first part of the planning, it showed that it takes 2.7 million CO2 tons of emission to build actually the U5. And jointly with the industry and with universities, we invested a lot into building more CO2 friendly or climate friendly. And with that, we're able to reduce the emission by 70%. So what we're going to build now is more climate-friendly material, and this definitely can be a blueprint also for other cities.
And what's the importance, in your opinion, of the public urban mobility? How important is that going to be across the world in the future?
Yeah, the United Nations have warned that we are at code red for our Earth, and because of human-induced climate change. And the global transportation sector, including urban mobility, is responsible for 20% of the CO2 emissions. That means it's very urgent that we actually act. And this is why we believe in Hamburg and at Hamburger Hochbahn that we need to heavily invest in the mobility shift, which means that people who are currently taking their private car for distances shift to our integrated public transportation system, meaning buses, trains, but also the new mobility solutions that are going to come. And our take here at COP28 is also in line with that, because we want to show the world how important it is that public transportation is supporting the mobility shift. And in 2025 and in 2027, we're looking very much forward to welcoming the world to Hamburg, because we are going to have the UITP taking place in Hamburg there.
Merle, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.